understand how broken I was as an individual, how spiritually sick I was, and it led to this long journey to where finally, um, I've been sober, like how it says it in the book, not like I don't drink anymore, but I smoke pot on Fridays and Saturdays. I'm sober, but I take Vicodin only when my foot hurts, or something. So I've been sober for coming up on 3 years. I've been sober off of opiates for a long time, for over 10 years. But part of my
you got me by 7 years, so that's good. All right, good. Go
okay,
ahead. Yeah.
so part of my downfall was I thought it was going to be perfectly fine if I sat and drank a couple glasses of wine every night, and it's good for my cholesterol and all this other stuff that we tell ourselves. And, it just turned into this long, alcohol is one of those things where alcohol is a slow killer. It really is. For somebody that's an addict or an alcoholic, you can function and be a highly functioning alcoholic for a long period of time.
Oh, yeah.
If you're shooting dope every day, forget it, man. That stuff will bring you down quick. If you're shooting meth, if you're shooting coke, you know what I mean, Rick? So alcohol it was this long time frame where
also the way that you did it. I have all, even though you and I have had our ups and downs through the years, I have all these fond memories, and one of them is visiting with you on occasion in Arizona, the Phoenix Scottsdale area where you live. And one thing I remember is I was married to Gabrielle at the time, if you remember Gabrielle, and we'd come out and visit you and Dawn, and I remember we'd go out to dinner or whatnot, and everybody out there, I want you to picture the smashing machine, the specimen, the toughest man on this planet. And I want to tell you what this guy cared about back then. Mark, I'm sorry, I probably embarrass you a little bit. This guy cared about how perfectly tailored his very expensive designer threads were. He cared about the beautiful new Spanish tile he was having his home decorated with. I'll never forget the Spanish tile.
Yeah.
And he cared about ordering really good red wine in restaurants. You were something of a connoisseur, man. So you weren't the guy that was out in the alley pounding Jack Daniels. So
no.
It's a slow, yeah. You were when I said contradiction in terms up front during the introduction. Like Mark Coleman, God love Mark. He's one of my favorite people on this planet. For best friends, the Marks, as I always called you guys couldn't be more different. Mark is, he wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's everything you think the toughest guy on the planet would be. Dude, you were the opposite, and that's one of the many things I always found so fascinating about you, and one of the reasons I loved you so much. It was just different. So you're not drinking, you don't drink alcohol at all these days, then? That's over.
No.
Okay.
No, and this was, my first real attempt with getting sober and really trying to do it was when I found out I was going to be a dad, and this was 2004. And I was married to Dawn, and we didn't have protected sex. She wasn't on the pill. We kind of set some time frame aside for her to try to get pregnant, and it just never happened. And it wasn't for lack of trying. It wasn't for lack of trying, but it never happened. And so we had kind of just shelved it, and we were on a very slippery slope. So we were looking at getting a complete divorce from each other. And I went over and fought in Japan, and when I got home, I found out I was going to be a dad. So that was like January of 2004. My son was born September 24th of 2004. And I was like, I was going to be that dude. I was going to be like this dude that was a baseball coach and a wrestling coach. And, Dawn can say a lot of things about me, but the one thing she can't say is when she was pregnant, I was attentive. I was nurturing. I was loving. I was everything that she ever wanted me to be. I was, because I was just so excited to be a dad. And part of what she had asked me to do was to stop fighting. She was 39 when she got pregnant, and it was a little bit higher risk because of her age, and there was always a risk of a miscarriage because of her age and because of her history. And so she said, would you be willing to find something else to do for a living? Because it really just stressed her out, me fighting. And I said, yeah. And I went and did what I needed to do to make a living. And, it was a super, super cool part of my life was that time frame. And then, after my son was born, we got a full-fledged divorce. And, I think she had postpartum and suffered from that. And she started drinking again. And that kind of, it's a long history. It's like 24 years with the same person.
Yeah, you guys have had a lot of history, and a lot of it's been public. Also, you've never hidden, and I think that's important.
Yeah, hey, people can look at it and go, "Oh my God, look at him. He's sober. If the toughest dude in the world could be knocked down by addiction, well, why can't I fight it?" That's the benefit of it. But the part where I stopped intellectualizing it is just a simple fact that nobody else is going to do the work for me. I can't sit and think, all these different thoughts about it. It's just something that I had to do because I wanted, it sounds really weird. I wanted the benefits of it. I wanted to have better relationships. I wanted to have, all these things that come with it, but it still has to lie within just me. Like, I have to do it because of me.